Today, welcome back to my channel. My name is Holly, and today I'm going to show you how I made this plaid fall-inspired or fall-themed little pumpkin tumbler. It says raising the cutest pumpkins in the patch, which I thought was super fitting for any grandma or mom or dad or whoever you may be. So go ahead and keep watching and I'll show you some little tips and tricks I learned along the way. I am starting with a sanded, not spray painted, just sanded 16-ounce straight AF mother tumbler. And I have the dimensions typed in that little section there on Cricut Design Space. And so I'm inserting a square and then resizing it to match the dimensions of the tumbler. And then I am going to continue adding more squares and resizing them to 0.001 by the width and the height. So you want the height if you're making your vertical lines and the width going across. And I'm just trying to spread them out about 8 across or so, and then kind of an even spread from top to bottom. It didn't come out perfectly, but close enough. You can't really tell unless you're going to get out your measuring tape and examine it. So after I did that, then I am going to send this to Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to cut it on a washi sheet setting using double-sided tape. I ran out of my usual double-sided tape that I use, so this one is the cat scratch double-sided tape. I like it. I can't really tell that much of a difference other than when I'm peeling the blue backing off this cat scratch paper. It's a lot harder for me to not accidentally stick my finger to the sticky and pull it off. So maybe that just means that there's more sticky on this paper compared to the ones that I traditionally use. And I think I got my other paper from scrapbook.com, but this one's just Amazon, just cat scratch paper. Now, when I stuck this on here, I did mess up because I was trying to cut corners and I didn't cut off that little fold of the blue paper. Usually I cut it off so it's super flat. But because I didn't cut off the fold, when I laid down my tumbler thinking it was all straight, it wasn't, because the bend in the paper kind of skewed the way it pulled on my tumbler when I rolled it. So then I had to peel off about 4 columns and recut those and reapply them before I could start glittering. So I should know not to cut corners, but I always do it. So here we are, ready to glitter. So I have a green and I have a tan. I'm using Sands of Time from the Glitter Guy and Army Green from Glitter Heart Co. And then I'm going to mix those two colors together to make a combination for like the middle color. And I want to make sure that my mix isn't too much of one color. So I do like a 1-to-1 ratio. There's a little section of exposed stainless steel you're going to see here in a second where my two ends of my double-sided tape didn't quite meet up. And an easy way to fix that is just to use your glitter glue, dab it right there in that spot where you messed up, and then use the mix of glitters with your dark and light colors and just sprinkle that in there a little bit, because it's going to camouflage completely since you have the mixed colors in between the dark and the lights all the way around the tumbler anyway. If you have never used double-sided tape to make a plaid template or plaid design, try it. You might love it. I think the hardest part is actually getting the tape on your tumbler without accidentally sticking it to a surface that you don't want it to stick to. But other than that, you just peel up the little paper squares and rub that glitter on gently and it sticks in. Then when you brush it off, you're not accidentally brushing off glue, which I've done so many times in the past because the glue hasn't quite dried. So you don't have to worry about any glue drying or any colors getting mixed in with the other colors, and it's pretty easy and painless. So it's my favorite way to apply a plaid design. After I applied the glitter to those squares, I went ahead and used glitter glue to the base of my tumbler, and I used Helios, I think is what it's called. I got it from Grateful Glitters. That glitter glue is very, very sticky once it starts to dry. It dries very quickly. So I used the Helios. I applied a mix of the glitter to the bottom, let it dry, spray sealed it with clear gloss 2 times, and then I'm gonna put it on the turner and let it spin overnight until it cures, and then I'm ready to apply my decals. Here I'm just standing back and admiring the colors together. So pretty. I'm obsessed. After that was cured, I was ready to cut and apply my design. Now, I did do this in two parts. I actually did the pumpkins first, put a layer of epoxy, and then applied the Raisin the Cutest Pumpkins in the patch, but I just added them to the same board so that I could save them. On this saying, it was centered if you kept the wheelbarrow and the pumpkin in there, but I didn't want the wheelbarrow and the pumpkin. So what I did is I sliced out that image, and then I had to slice apart my words and then realign them to center them the way I wanted, because I just wanted the words. I didn't want the picture because I already had the pictures of the pumpkins. So you can slice out pretty much anything in Cricut Design Space if you find a free image that you like, and then kind of change the way it aligns. Once you have everything taken apart and then put back together the way you like it, then all you do is you group it back together. So you click the group icon up in the right hand corner, group everything back together, and then if you attach it, all the words that are the same color will print together. So you won't have to try to figure out where they go. Now, I did attach it, but when I printed it, I went ahead and cut them apart anyway, because I don't trust my eyes to apply a large decal straight. And I didn't record the part where I was making the pumpkins, but basically I did the same thing. I found a pumpkin I liked, I ungrouped it, I recolored the pumpkins, and then I put them back together, and I made sure I did like a solid base behind, so I did an offset for the solid base behind the overlay. This part of the project was it was fun because I was experimenting and it turned out. So I was pretty proud of myself for actually making it work. What I wanted to do is use a piece of that really pretty fall scrapbook paper, and then the vellum. It's like a vellum that has positive sayings on it, like, be yourself, family, happy, it just had a whole bunch of positive sayings printed in gold, and I thought it was really pretty. Originally, I just cut out separately the pumpkins from the scrapbook paper and then separately the pumpkins again from the vellum paper. But what I wanted to do is put them, I didn't want to use like a Mod Podge or some sort of other adhesive to apply my paper to my tumbler. So I thought if I could just stack them, layer them somehow without making them too incredibly thick, I wonder if it would work. So what I wound up doing is stacking or sandwiching the papers in between double-sided tape. So I did the vellum on top, double-sided tape, scrapbook paper, double-sided tape. So really it's like 4 layers. And the double-sided tape, when you peel off the paper backing, it's really not that thick. So the end result wasn't too terribly thick that I couldn't put it on my tumbler. After I had all those pieces sandwiched together, then I ran it through my Cricut machine and cut the pumpkins. So then I didn't have to try to piece pre-cut images on top of one another. They all cut together as one. So it turned out pretty cool. Before I stick my pumpkins to my tumbler, I want to make sure that I have the vinyl outline on them. So I'm just starting with the large one, cutting out the vinyl outline, placing that pumpkin first, and then the other 2 pumpkins are going to be placed on either side. This double-sided tape backing peeled off so easily from my stacked layers. And so I just took it and I placed it, stuck it down, and it has a really good adhesion to the surface of the tumbler. So I will definitely be trying this again. I don't know about maybe that many layers, or maybe use something a little bit thinner rather than scrapbook paper, but it turned out pretty cool. Maybe I'll try it with fabric. That might be something to try. Anyway, so I'm just placing those pumpkins, and then I am going to give it a coat of epoxy before I put the stems, the leaves, and the words on my tumbler. After I added the brushed copper-colored permanent vinyl for the stems, I thought that looked so neat. And then when I put the light olive colored leaves over the top of it, it made everything just come together. And so I was super happy with it. I think it looks really cute. And then I'm going to use a brushed gold permanent vinyl for the words, as well as it's a non-permanent, it's a removable tannish color vinyl. So I made sure that I sealed it really well before I put epoxy over the top of it because the tan colored vinyl is removable. And I was going to use those little teeny leaves you see sitting down there by my water bottle, but once I started placing those leaves on the tumbler, it just was way too busy and I didn't like it at all. So I peeled off the leaves and I just went, nah, they don't need to go there. This tumbler's got enough going on before even adding the leaves. So I thought it was better just with the words and the cute little pumpkins. So I did one more coat of epoxy after I spray sealed it twice. So I spray sealed it with a clear gloss, let that clear gloss dry, spray sealed again, made sure it was completely dry, and then very carefully put a generous layer of epoxy over the top. And I let that sit overnight, making sure that I took a torch and popped any bubbles, especially over the vinyl pieces. And when I came back the next morning to check on it, everything was perfectly smooth except for one little section where those two pumpkins overlap each other. So I'm still gonna have to do just one more layer, but this tumbler is pretty much done. So it took me a layer for over the top of the plaid, and then I applied the pumpkins, and then I did a second layer over the pumpkins. Then I applied the other vinyl, did a third layer of epoxy over that, and so it'll take all in all about 4 layers of epoxy, depending on how thick your coats of epoxy are. So not too bad, and it looks super cute. So I hope you enjoyed this project. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment box below. And thank you so much for watching.